Alright, testimony part 10. I'm going to try to wrap it up here if I can. Congratulations to all of you who watched every segment. I spilled my guts in this video in a way that I've not been willing to spill my guts in a long time. Jesus Christ is real. His path is the way. I haven't taken it. I've had the knowledge in my life for several years of what to do to be correct, and I've chosen many times to do something different than that. And like I said last video, I'm very happy that God has had mercy on me and kept me alive. Now, on that note, I don't think I was too far off from death this last time around when I was drinking. I mean, my functions were going downhill. My heart was hurting on a regular basis. My kidneys were hurting on a regular basis. My liver was hurting on a regular basis. I could barely walk up a set of stairs. I was winded. Couldn't even do a push-up. I was dropping all kinds of weight because I couldn't eat. I couldn't keep food down. I mean, I was on my way out, and diabetic to boot. I mean, when I finally tested my sugar again, in the morning, it was at 380 something after an all-night fast. The Spirit of God, with all its mercy, wasn't really communicating with me at all, like He would communicate with someone who is walking with Him. But the communication that God had in my life at that time was, you better get right because you're going to die. And I heard that plain and clear. The Lord was extending His hand and said, you need to get right with me because you're going to be dead. And not would I be dead in a good way. I'd be dead with what I believe a lack of salvation for my soul, which is an issue. You know, it's a huge issue and a debate in the Christian scene. I'll just put one verse with it. Hebrews chapter 10 verse 25 says that if we sin willfully, there remains no more sacrifice for us, but a certain fearful, a fiery judgment awaiting those that will consume the adversaries. Now, I didn't speak that exact KJV, but what it says is that if we continue to do what God says not to do willingly, knowing that we're not supposed to, but we willingly do it, it says that the fiery judgment is what awaits us that would consume the adversaries. So I was scared for my soul, and I'd get drunk and I'd pray to God and I'd say, God, help me. And that's all I could pray. God, help me. And I'd go do whatever I was going to do. Well, during that time period, we had our last child, or our current youngest child, in April. So we had been separated for about almost 2 months, Our child was born. Our child was born 5 weeks premature, with 2 knots in his umbilical cord. So the devil was trying to take him out. And what it did was it brought us together. It wasn't a pleasant way. I mean, I'm in the hospital, I'm drunk in the hospital, staying there with her. We had to stay in the hospital for a week, so I'm in the hospital, drunk. And my wife is, you know, we're being civil with each other. We had come to a point where we knew we really couldn't talk about anything too deep, but just to try to be at peace with each other. And I started spending the night with her, and I'd come and we'd sleep in the same bed. You know, we by no means were having any relations sexually at that time. And then I'd spend the night and I'd go home. And I started enjoying the times of coming to see my family. There's nothing like the look in your child's eye when you know that they can see that something is wrong. They can see that things aren't right. But your young kids, they don't know what to say. They just know that mom and dad aren't supposed to be split up. And look, man, only thing I can say to you is that for those of you who don't believe in God, is that another entity, another power, another force started softening my heart. And I know there's people out there praying to the God I believe in to help me. And you know what? I started thinking differently. I started thinking, man, you know, because I didn't give my wife, she didn't have the car. I had our best car. She should have had my best car because she's got my kids. I got her with this rinky-dink bucket, and I got the best car. Well, that was one of the first things that changed my heart. Was like, Lord, you know, how in the world does she not have the car when you can get around all kinds of other ways? And he just started changing my heart. And I had taken our wedding ring away from her that my grandmother gave to me. I took it, and then there was a day that came about in my spirit, man, where I knew I wanted to work it out with my wife, and I wanted to be back together with her, and I gave her back the ring. And we still weren't living together, but that's the day I purposed in my heart that I was going to be with her. That was, I don't know, that was probably about, that was sometime in June, maybe. Man, this might have to go another segment. In June, Mr. and Mrs. Taylor, ministers of the gospel through preaching and rap music, R&B. Mr. Taylor gives me a call on the phone. I was out in Des Moines, drunk, driving through Des Moines, and I get a phone call from Mr. Taylor talking about needing some shows in my area. And Joel, I live in a small town that really isn't so fond of hip hop, I would say, generally. And you know, he says, hey, can you get some shows or at least a place to stay? Well, I was still not so far off from God and His principles to know that I better house this guy. So I call my wife and say, hey, we're gonna have some company. Well, they get there, and the first day, I tell them right off the bat, I say, hey, look, man, me and my wife are separated right now. So, you know, we'll be together while you're staying with us, but we're not doing well right now. And he was glad I was transparent like that. And after a few days, you know, the brother, he lit into me in the Holy Ghost. You know, he got on my junk, so to say. And it was very appropriate. And Mr. Taylor, if you've seen this, man, I thank you for showing the love of God and being faithful and not afraid to hand me one. And he got on my junk, man, the way I need to hear it. He let me know who I was, what I was supposed to be doing, and he let me know what I shouldn't be doing and where I was wrong. He was the first one to really put me in my place in a way that someone should have done. But he put me in my place, and he's like, look, man, you're the man of your house. You're wrong. He said, you know, I don't want to hear all this stuff about what your wife's doing, because I was letting him know what my wife was doing. He's like, you're the head of the household. Who's God always going to? You're the one who's wrong. And you know what? I didn't like hearing it, of course, but I knew he was right. I knew it was right, and I had to chomp on it for a while. Well, man. I can go on and on with stories. I'm just going to stop the stories. And I don't know how much time I've got. I'll get back to you.